Let us charge into the good fight with joy and love, without being afraid of our enemies. Though unseen themselves, they can look at the face of our soul, and if they see it altered by fear, they take up arms against us all the more fiercely. For the cunning creatures have observed that we are scared. So let us take up arms against them courageously. No one will fight with a resolute fighter. And finally, again, another good word of advice. Do not be surprised that you fall every day. Do not give up, but stand your ground courageously. And assuredly, the angel who guards you will honor your patience. Temptations are going to come our way, and to some of them we're going to fall. But don't give up, St. John keeps saying. St. Simeon the New Theologian. We're going to jump about 3 centuries now. St. Simeon lives from 949 to 1022. So we're finally in the second millennium. He is born in Paphlagonia, which is kind of in the middle of modern-day Turkey, to a family of the Byzantine nobility. He's educated at court. His father is part of the imperial court. And his father dies while he's still young, and that's the next. Never mind. So he spends time at court. At 14, he meets another monk by the name of Simeon from the Studite monastery, who convinces him to focus on the spiritual life and a life of prayer. I need to explain just something about what we call him. He is indeed called Simeon the New Theologian, but the title there is really split into two. He's called Simeon the New to differentiate him from this Simeon here, and he's also called Simeon the Theologian. So the titles got kind of merged. So it's not that he's a theologian who happens to be new, it's Simeon. Imagine if it said Simeon the Younger. Yes, Simeon the Second. Pointing this at the wall still doesn't do anything. So Simeon the Elder gets Simeon the New all revved up, but then says, no, 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 I know you want to go into the monastery now, but you should wait. And Simeon listens. He serves at court until he's 27 years old. Go.
When you say the imperial court, I don't know who.
Byzantium.
All right. See, I don't know what that means.
Constantinople.
All right.
The new Rome.
All right. That's the new Rome. Okay, because Rome's all past now.
Rome, the city, is. This is still the Roman Empire. And Rome, the city, still exists. It's just not the imperial capital.
But at this time, I thought all of the Germanic tribes, the Visigoths and all that, had taken over the culture.
In Western Europe, yes. We're talking about Constantinople.
Okay, thank you. Good.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The imperial court, as it has been for the last couple of weeks, remember Justinian moves the seat of the empire from Rome to Constantinople back in the early 4th century. So the imperial court has been here now for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Constantinople.
Yes. Yes. So Simeon stays at court until he's 27, and then he also enters the same monastery that Simeon the Elder is at, the Studios Monastery in Constantinople. There were, as well as being the capital and the center of the Eastern Church, Constantinople is also filled with monasteries as well. Remember to bear in mind, we're still living in the age of an undivided church. There is no split between Catholic West and Orthodox East. It's still, there are minor tiffs going on, minor squabbles that come up, but even now through the entirety of Simeon's life, it's one church still. That split that finally rose and that nobody thought would be the final split, but so far has been, doesn't come until 1054. So it's coming soon, but even at this time, it's one church. There's one church. Still, here we go. So he enters the Studios Monastery, but he soon transfers to the monastery of St. Mamas, and within 3 years' time, he's tonsured a full monk, ordained a priest, and elected abbot of the monastery. So obviously, these monks thought very highly of him. He remains abbot of the monastery for the next 25 years. He zealously spends his time as abbot trying to reform monastic life, which was going through a period of some troubles. Some of his reforms work, some of them don't. He urged his monks to lead lives of simplicity, asceticism, purity of heart, and constant prayer. He resigned as abbot in 1005 to live as a hermit. He's had enough of taking care of the cares of the world. He wants to go and concentrate solely on the spiritual life. And so that's what he does. And he becomes a mystic, which is a term most of us have probably heard, and a hesychast, which is probably a term most of us haven't heard. So I promised you a definition, and here it comes. Hesychasm is one of those fancy Greek words that literally means stillness or silence. In this context, it refers to a practice of inner prayer aiming at a union with God on a level beyond images, concepts, or language. This is pretty deep stuff. All of us, if I asked you to think about God, would end up using some image, some concept, or some words. I would too. Simeon and the men and women who follow this hesychast school work at going beyond that. Simeon speaks and writes very often of the need for a direct experience of the grace of God, and he often writes and speaks of his own mystical experiences of the divine light. He's going to talk about a personal experience of God. This is going to get him into a little bit of trouble. There we go. There was opposition from some quarters of the church to what Simeon was teaching, and he's eventually put on trial by those who felt it was heresy to teach that a direct personal experience of God was possible, and there were those who questioned his devotion to his spiritual father, Simeon the First. So there's two things going on here. The Simeon we're talking about felt that his mentor, Simeon, was a saint, and there were those who disagreed with him. At the end of this trial in 1009, Simeon is exiled. But he doesn't give up. And he doesn't give in. And in the little place where he's sent to exile, he sets up a new monastery. Saint Macrimus. Now we've heard of her before. Anyone remember who she was? Yes, the sister of Saint Basil and Saint Gregory. So he goes off into exile, sets up this new monastery, and he's having some success, and so his opponents, being a little peeved and wanting to still kind of get the better of him, come to him and try to make him a deal. We'll let you back. We'll let you come back into the capital, and we'll make you an archbishop. All you have to do is stop reverencing your spiritual father Simeon as a saint, and just nuance this direct personal experience of God stuff. Don't talk about this so explicitly. We don't like this. Simeon says thanks, but no thanks. And he remains with his monks at his new monastery until his death in 1022. So about 13 years. He spends 13 years exile. But before he dies, he is in fact, he and his ideas are rehabilitated. And the things that Simeon taught continue to form an important part of the spiritual heritage of the East. So much so that the church gave him this title, theologian. He's one of only 3 saints that bear that title. Can anyone name the other 2? Right? Yes, that's one. And John the Apostle. So we have John the Apostle and Gregory of Nazianzen. This is really being uncooperative tonight. Many of Simeon's works are preserved in the Philokalia. He's also known for writing such works as Hymns of Divine Love, another one of our saints who wrote a book of poems, ethical discourses, the catechetical discourses, and a lovely little text called 153 Practical and Theological Texts. And if you want them, they can still be had. And for some quotes. To have faith in Christ means not only to stand aloof from the delights of this life, but also to endure patiently every temptation and test that brings upon us distress, affliction, and misfortune, for as long as God wishes and until He comes to us. For as the psalm says, I waited patiently for the Lord, and He heard me.